Hey folks, it's Aaron, and we're here in Craig's backyard in Hawaii, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about my research project and why we're here. I got a grant from Mortise and Tenon magazine, and they're a hand tool woodworking journal, sort of dedicated to the craft of working with your hands and the dignity of human labor. And they put out a call for research, and I put in a grant request to research the first three original makers of what we call ukuleles. And that's been really cool, but we knew we had to come here to really dig into that project. So the ukulele is a Hawaiian instrument, but its roots come from Madeira, and Madeira is a Portuguese island off of the coast of Africa/Europe, kind of in the Atlantic. And these three Madeiran immigrants came to Hawaii to do agricultural labor. They were contracted for that. And for their first 2 years, they just had to work in the fields before they could finish their contract and go back to working in the wood shops, because when they were in Madeira, they were trained cabinet makers. And we think they must have also been trained instrument builders at that time. So when they came to Hawaii and they started to build musical instruments, they were mainly building these instruments that were from Madeira, but local folks really liked them too. So the two things they made were called machetes and rajaus, Madeiran machetes, Madeiran rajaus. And it's kind of a little and a big ukulele, one with 4 strings, one with 5 strings. And over this 15 or 20 years, a really amazing thing happened. They stopped being European musical instruments and they became Hawaiian musical instruments. And over those 15 years, their customers changed, the people changed, the woods changed, their techniques changed. And before you know it, we had the standard all koa wood ukulele that we're used to now. So I came here to study in the Bishop Museum, in the archives and in the library, and also to see a collector, Sean from ukulelefriend.com, who has instruments from the 1880s and 90s. And so that's what I've been doing here. We also got to see some Madeiran instruments from the 1870s, so we could kind of compare the whole route. So my plan is this. We're here studying these things. I'm learning as much history as I can. And then we're going to go back to my shop, and I'm going to build some instruments in their style with just my hand tools. And the hand tools I'm choosing are the ubiquitous hand tools of the 1880s and 90s that every furniture making shop in the Western world probably had access to. And it's already the kind of planes and chisels and saws I would pick up on a daily basis anyway. And I'm going to produce a few instruments in this style and document it for the journal. And we'll see where it goes from there. I have a feeling that this project is planting more seeds than what I intended originally, because it's a really cool project and people have been really cool about it.
Is there any style that actually took you by surprise when you start to analyze it a little bit more?
Well, I think the biggest surprise is that, like Brian was saying, when he was a kid, he saw the old instruments which like didn't have extra fretboards as being like the crude early ones. But actually, when they came from Madeira, they had fretboards, and they did that for 10 years or so. And then the fretboard went away, and they made the instruments just with the fret set in the neck. And then you got to make it all the way into the 1920s before the fretboard comes back. So it's really interesting because like these guys knew what was best and what was better, but they still, for economic reasons or whatever, got rid of it, and then it starts creeping back in. So I think that's kind of a surprise to see a feature like that kind of change over time.
And also, when you're analyzing these instruments to try to replicate, are there any ones that you're like really nervous about because of how it was done?
I don't think I'm nervous. I just think there's a few things that would be a 3-point shot, you know. And there's, for instance, there's 2 diage instruments, a rajau and an ukulele, where down below the bridge there's an inlaid flower vase with an inlaid flower, and then wood burned parts of the flower. So to do that, I have to inlay it properly, and then I have to have Nicole wood burn it properly. And so it's kind of looking at that, that's like you've already got an instrument mostly done, and now here we have to decorate, but what if, you know? But on the Diage Rajau in the Bishop Museum where he wood burned, it looks like he just heated up a nail in the fire and just scratched. Where he wanted circles, he pushed the nail down to get a circle, and 2 of the holes go straight through the top. So maybe the 3-point shot isn't that hard, right? Because if Diage pierced the top with his and it's made it 120 years, it's okay. So that one, yeah, stuff like that.
Nice. Well, I cannot wait to see all the similarities from all the old school stuff to like what we're still doing now. So,
yeah. Well, it's
awesome.
not really that different. Like, I kind of think 10 years ago, I would have wanted to come here with my machinist measuring calipers out to get every little tiny detail of how wide this was and how wide this was. And now I've kind of like learned all that and gone past that, and I'm here to get the vibes of it, right? Like I can sort out all the other stuff. I've made enough things that it's not a mystery why, but it is cool to look at it and like, oh, he chose to do it this way. He chose to do it this way. These are sophisticated people with the same DNA as us. You know, they're hardworking craftspeople. They may not have had CNC machines, computer machines, but they knew how to make things carefully, and we can learn from that too. And they're just like us, making the same decisions day to day in the shop and trying to feed a family, you know?
Yeah. Now, again, what is the best way for people to keep track of all of this?
Yeah, right now, pretty much on the Beansprout YouTube channel, I'm putting a lot of stuff up. I think I need to add a page just to our website just for the project, because there'll be a lot more coming out about it. But so, yeah, if you go to YouTube and type in Beansprout Musical Instruments, or our website is thebeansprout.com.